Every single player dislikes something about Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe it's the entirety of Chapter 5, the chapter we all hate. But out of the dozens of missions in this massive game, there are 10 that nobody ever wants to skip. Starting with a mission that completely breaks the rules just to make you care. Everyone loves Lenny mission, but A Quiet Time isn't just on this list because it's hilarious. It's here because how it makes you laugh. Instead of just showing you Arthur getting drunk in a cutscene, the game physically messes with your controls. The camera stops listening to you, the screen blurs, then you try to hit the button to find Lenny, and Arthur just ends up screaming gibberish across the bar. But more importantly, think about where this mission is placed. You just survived the freezing, miserable, painfully slow tutorials up in Coulter. You finally get to Valentine, and the game just lets you breathe. When players replay this mission, they just don't come back for a laugh. We replay it because it's the one pure moment the game lets Arthur and Lenny just be young, dumb, and happy. We love the Chapter 2 train robbery because it represents the absolute peak of the Vandalin gang. This is one of the only time a plan actually worked, and visually it gives us arguably one of the most iconic shots in the entire game. Arthur standing on oil wagon in the middle of the track, lit up only by the violent blinding light of the approaching train. You aren't really doing anything mechanically here, but you feel like an absolute badass. The shootout that follows is great, sure, but that's not why we love it. We love it because it's the ultimate outlaw fantasy. Up until this point in the story, the game constantly punishes you for causing too much trouble. You get bounties, the law hunts you, you have to stay quiet, but when the Braithwaites take Jack, the game takes you completely off the leash. The approach shot is the reason this mission is on the list. Everyone talks about the walk up the driveway. The entire Vandalin gang walks up the drive to the manor in a line, moving as a single unstoppable wall of guns. It is the only time in the game the group is shown moving together as a single unit toward a single objective. Community discussions of RDR2 returns to this frame constantly, usually describes as the moment the gang look like the myth Dutch has been selling. For a few minutes you feel like the righteous heroes coming to save a kid. Also, the game gives you a massive, satisfying shootout. Saint Denis is a loud, crowded, overwhelming place. But this mission slows the pace of the game down to a crawl, and that's exactly why players like it. You are shooting your way onto the riverboat. You put on a tailored suit, you sit down, and the game forces you to actually play real hands of high-stake poker. And this is the only mission in Red Dead Redemption 2 where Arthur is clean, well-dressed, seated, and treated as a gentleman by people who do not know what he is. It gives us a glimpse into an alternate reality, at least for 20 minutes. The game proves that Arthur is smart, adaptable, and totally capable of surviving in the civilized world. You get to play dressed up and be treated with respect right before the game drops you back into the mud with a massive gunfight. This one's on the list for a much colder reason than the last two. We don't like the Angelo Bronte mission because the gunfight is particularly special. It is more memorable because this is the exact moment genre of Red Dead Redemption 2 shifts. It stops being a fun outlaw adventure and turns into a psychological tragedy. It's the first time we see Dutch kill just to protect his own ego, and we can see Arthur's silent, horrified realization that the man he followed his whole life is gone. The assault on Cornwall Refinery is basically a magic trick. The game throws the biggest, loudest, most epic cinematic battle at you, charging down the hill with eagle flies and the Wapiti riders, also the rest of the gang. Feels like you are in a historical war movie. The music is swelling, the guns are blazing, you feel like a one-man army. But none of that is the point of the mission. The climax of this massive set piece isn't an explosion. It's Dutch turning his back on Arthur. Everything we did for Dutch throughout this story is instantly destroyed by one quiet, cowardly decision to walk away while Arthur is pinned down. This isn't just the best mission in Chapter 6. It's the emotional summit of modern interactive storytelling. What makes the mission Red Dead Redemption unforgettable isn't that Arthur dies. It's the agonizing, beautiful way the game forces you to sit with his final hours. Rockstar drops the combat entirely and plays the song That's the Way It Is as you ride. The game plays back ghostly echoes of the people you helped throughout your journey. The game is gently telling you the fight is over. It's time to settle your account. Then comes the collapse. The standoff at Beaver Hollow breaks the gang forever. The end is a cinematic masterpiece. It's memorable because it turns a tragedy into a spiritual victory. You spent 60 hours or maybe more watching Arthur Morgan lose everything: his gang, his health, his faith in Dutch, only to give him the one thing nobody could take away: a peaceful death on its own terms. The first part of the epilogue is famously slow, and that is a deliberate choice. For hours, the game strips away your dead eye, takes your weapon, and forces you to milk cows and build fences. It practically starves you of action to stimulate how suffocating normal life feels for John Marston. When John opens the trunk and puts his gun belt back on, the release of tension is explosive. The second you hear that iconic soundtrack from the original 2010 game, the transition is complete. The legend is back. This mission breaks every single rule of action game phasing. There are no enemies. You can't fail. You are literally just pressing buttons to hammer nails into wood. It should be the most boring thing in the world, but it is a masterpiece. After the relentless, depressing trauma of Chapter 6, the player is sort of emotionally exhausted. So instead of giving you another shootout, it gives you a wholesome, toe-tapping rhythm game about building a house with your surviving friends. You spend 80 hours in this game destroying things. A New Jerusalem is the only time you get to focus entirely on healing and creation. The house building theme is legendary because it's exactly the win we need. It also completes something Uncle and Charles are the last two men standing from the gang, and the thing they finally do together is put up a wall. If you ask any Red Dead fan what makes this mission legendary, they won't name a plot point. They'll name the song. The second that legendary soundtrack kicks in, the game takes the leash completely off. It's pure, unfiltered payback. Sadie and Charles get wounded, but John keeps pushing forward through a wall of gunfire alone. Every headshot feels heavy with years of build-up. Finally comes the standoff. Killing Micah is the release valve. 100 hours of hatred finally let you out, and it is genuinely one of the most satisfying things in the entire franchise. Those are the 10 best written missions in this entire game. Let me know in the comments down below, what is that one Red Dead Redemption mission that you absolutely love? And if you want to see the opposite, 10 missions that every player absolutely hates, it's right there on your screen. Click it right now. See you in the next one.